Hi, everyone. I'm Erica Anderson. I am the CCO for Storytell. And so I'm going to show you a bit of why Storytell exists, what problems we're here to solve, and we're going to actually demo the product and try to solve some of those problems and whatever problems or issues, challenges that you're facing in your roles in customer success. So thank you so much for coming, and let's begin. I'm Erica Anderson, and I'm the Chief Customer Officer and one of the three co-founders of Storytell. And our whole reason for being is to distill signal from noise. So what am I talking about? What could that possibly mean? So this is around aligning teams through data, and specifically data that is both unstructured, like meeting transcripts, etc., and data that is structured, like from CSVs, and bringing it to life so we can have this dynamic relationship with data. I'm going to go more into that in a moment. So showing you what are the challenges we could solve for, and then actually just going into it in a demo, answering any questions that you may have, and maybe any challenges that you're facing in customer success. So what's the overall issue we're dealing with in the world, and that Storytell is trying to tackle here? The fact that there's ever more data, right? So it's just on this constant increase. We're moving into the world of zettabytes, and yet as that data increases, proliferates, the signal gets weaker and weaker. So what's important to me? What do I need to know? That gets more confusing. And what doesn't change is the amount of time we have. So whatever way you want to slice it, we still only have 168 hours in the week. And you'll see this is broken up by country and by activity, because not all of those hours are working, right? So how do we make the time that we are focused on work really count? And what does it mean to get signal when everything we know about our customers is scattered across so many different platforms? So the largest SaaS platforms have about 350, sorry, let me say that again. The largest SaaS companies have about 350 SaaS platforms. So all those integrations, and there's valuable data in each of those. Do you know what's there? Do you take the time to go into each one? Most of us just simply don't have the time, right? So time, still with this, time is fixed. And yet we're scattered as people as well, which is what's supposed to happen, right? As a company grows, we become more specialized in our roles, in our departments, and departments don't even know what's going on with each other. It becomes such a big job to handle internal communication to show, yeah, I am doing my job, right? So there's that, but there's also, what do you know about our customer that I don't? What does engineering need to know that they don't, etc.? So this tool is really about alignment, and how can you align when you don't even have access to the same information? So lots of times things are all locked up when, yeah, sure, there's some things I shouldn't have permission to access, the personnel, other people's one-on-ones. But when it regards the certain accounts or clients, like if I'm working in customer success, I need to know. And there's a lot that the company needs to know and probably doesn't know about the customers. So it becomes this whole situation, if you're aware of the fable of 12 blind men and an elephant, where they're all just working with a different part, and there's no physical vision, right? But there's other kinds of senses. And so they're using largely touch here. Let me tell you what an elephant is like. Well, it's very ribbed and long. Like, okay, that person's feeling the trunk. No, it's just wide. It's just wide and flat. It's basically like a tree trunk, right? He's feeling the leg. And so how do we have this comprehensive picture of what's going on if we're just experiencing one piece and we don't even realize that we're blind? We think we have all information. So just to give an example, I know, super cheesy stock photo, you got to roll with it sometimes. So maybe this is what we think is happening in an account. Like, oh my God, it's going great. Has anyone ever experienced this? I have. Oh my gosh, I like working with you so much. Love your work. No complaints. Great all the time. And then they churn because actually that's what was going on. But the social convention is not such that folks are going to be super honest in their feedback, right? It really depends on the individual. Yet you can't run a business on that, right? On just guessing sentiment, because going back to the blind man and the elephant, like, okay, this is one situation. What if that's all your customers? They're actually pretty upset and you're not aware. So this is just everyone, every department working in their own area, people not talking to each other. And where we need to be is this place of alignment and integration. Okay. And why? Because businesses run on truth. And so we all need to operate from the same truth. It can't be splintered. It can't be fractured. I can't have one version, you have a different one. And it needs also to be our customers' truth as well. So, okay, let's go into how Storytell works. And this is going to be very high level here. So what we're doing is we're going from noise to signal. And the way we do that is we ingest the noise, so capture the data, transform it into what we call the atomic units, and then we push the signal. So it's not just, Erica, I'm going to go chat with AI and I can find some things out. And it's just a one-on-one for me, which has value. But also I can set up automations so that whenever I'm on a customer call, I automatically have the Storytell asking the same question of that call, of the key takeaways and the action items, and and who owns those action items. And then everyone in the Slack channel that's working on that account sees what's happening, and they didn't even have to go into the platform. So that's where it gets pretty magical. And I realize this is probably the most beautiful slide you've seen. So you're welcome. Super simple idea that can get a bit challenging. So I just want to set it up right now before we pop into the demo, which is, all starts with, so another way of saying this is, I know these are the same colors as the last slide, but it's a little different idea. We're still starting with content. So you upload a file. You can chat directly with that file. You can also make a tag for that file. You can make a tag for multiple files. So let's say it's all a tag for all one customer. And then you can make a group. You can't make a group without any tags. So they lead up into each other. You can have tags without a group. And this is really a way of organizing what you have. So let's say I have a group that's all my customers, and then a tag for each customer. And so I have a way of chatting with all my customers at once, or just with individual customers. Okay, so we are going to go into that in a moment. Pain points. How can Storytell help in very specific ways? Okay, well, just like we're saying, structured data. Let's say I'm looking at Nielsen data. I might have a CSV with 500,000 rows. How am I going to just scan that and know what's going on? So I really need Storytell to help me understand the trends. So what's happening with my shows, essentially, what's happening with viewership? How can Storytell help me understand that? Okay, a quarterly business review. I need to let leadership know what's happening with our customers. So just taking the qualitative and quantitative data you already have in your customers and producing a QBR. We need to interact with engineering and tell them what product to build. And so start with, like, what are users saying? So there's a lot here, right? So you'll have telemetry of, who's using what parts of the product, what's getting used a lot, what's not really getting used, but also the qualitative data of what's the feedback that you're getting. And it's like, yeah, there's certainly lots of programs to deal with that. And even those get unwieldy. So how do you summarize? How do you distill it down to the key points? And then churn is going to happen, right? That is unavoidable. Not every customer is the right customer for you. And the problem is surprise churns. So leadership, not a fan. I don't think anyone's a fan. So really understand your customers through, predicting their behavior based on their feedback. Okay, so I wanted to show you how we're using this at Storytell, but it wouldn't be appropriate to share our user feedback and data with you because it has their names, etc. And so what we are going to do is work with Lisa Thompson, who, as you can see here, is a fictional persona we created, and we'll work with her company and her data. And so and this is the working space we have if you want to follow along with the smart chat. Okay, so I am going to go into Lisa's account. And first I'm going to start on the homepage. So let's just orient a bit with Storytell. So yeah, like I said, data-driven storytelling. And one special thing that we're going to see is what we call story tiles. It's like those atomic units of the content. And it's a way of giving you footnotes, showing you where did this information come from. There's more here around being able to anonymize data as well. And before you log in, you can just start chatting with the world's knowledge, and you can choose which LLM you want to work with and what you want to upload, and just go ahead and start chatting. But we're going to go into Lisa Thompson's dashboard, and accounts are free, so sign up, upload some content, and start chatting with it. That's the way to get value. So let me orient you here. So if I go click on this, I'm going back to the home page. I highlight the username and I can go into the dashboard. This is the smart chat itself. Yes, we've been smart chatting here. And here again, we've got the world's knowledge, right? So that's similar to what you saw, or if not identical, on the homepage. But then here, in all my knowledge, this is largely GPT-4 that we're using. And this is what you have uploaded. So we're talking about the ingest, so content. And specifically, I'm going to show you what are these files. So these are fictional customer calls that Lisa Thompson has had. We use Storytell to create these with different, with customers. So Lisa Thompson works for a business creating content for these companies. And so we're going to look at not just the calls, but also qualitative data, NPS scores, customer effort scores. And so we've got over here, you can see tags and groups. So I'm going to go back here. And another thing to note is that there's a view here that, and let's say everyone at one company, Chevron, for instance, I'll have a Chevron domain email. If they click on this, that will take you to the organizational view so that you can see what is everyone in the org? What have they uploaded? What can I learn from here? Okay, so we've got tags. So we can just chat with the high NPS customer calls, right? And you can see, oh, what is the data that's in there again? And come here, and you can even view the source content, right? And you've got the transcripts from the call. So we're going to go back to the chat. There's multiple ways to do that. And you'll also see here we've got a question library. And so you can, this is about like brainstorming blogs, if I want a quick summary. And there's a meeting summary. And so let's try that one because these are from calls. Great, and you've got the names of the people in the call, what the topics are that were covered. And Content Sphere is the company Lisa Thompson works for. And we're looking at, okay, what was their feedback, what we should do, and what are the action items. And I'm gonna go ahead here, we've got the 3 dots and put that in Markdown. And it's just a little, it's nicer formatting, right? So you can actually see things bolded, etc. So primary areas of improvement, more in-depth content analytics and customization options, and then better mobile optimization, advanced scheduling options. Right, and who's really driving adoption, and then what are the action items? And looks like Lisa Thompson is the owner of each of these action items. Great, so really fast way of getting up to speed about a call that you missed. I'm just gonna see and chat. Great, yeah, thank you, Angela. So you can chat with multiple tags like this. I could bring them all together. So the net promoter scores that are, customers with high NPS, customers with low NPS. And then also we've got customer data. So those are the NPS and CES scores. You can also, so what we have here is a group of high NPS and low NPS customers. So those are the customer calls. I'm going to create a new group, and it's going to be, I'm just going to call it customers. And now that I've created it, I'm going to, oh, there it is. Okay. So we've got 2 groups, one that's customers, that has everything in here, with the customer data, the low NPS and the high NPS. So I really want to go ahead and work with some of the questions we put in the working document, which, Angela, this is public, right? Everyone can access this.
Yep, public.
Okay, awesome. And so I'll just drop that in chat. So one thing when you're talking with a qualitative data set, something that really helps it to operate at this mode is to tell it what you're looking at. And so I'm saying we're chatting with a spreadsheet showing customer usage, NPS, and CES scores. Uses along with the qualitative data from customer calls to identify who is most likely to churn. So the problem I'm trying to solve here is surprise churn. I don't want to let that happen. Okay, so what are we seeing? So Echo Point Media is the most likely to churn. So the lowest among all clients, so high dissatisfaction and high level of effort to use a service. So strong predictors of churn. And then what's the qualitative data showing us? Okay, user interface, non-intuitive, doesn't integrate well. So there's real barriers to adoption, but also frankly, it's just not meeting the needs of their niche audience. So they're going back to manual. So then again, the content is not relevant. Okay. So here's our plan to address this right now. We could also go ahead and do a sentiment analysis based on the calls. So here I had brought in the customer data, so I'm just gonna take that out. So now we're just, let's see, should just be chatting with this group of customer calls. So, and one other thing, you can add questions to the question library right here. So we'll try it out, and if it's a good question, then we can add it to the library. So, conduct a sentiment analysis of all the customers, describe how they are feeling in one column, and in the second column, point to the evidence in the transcripts that shows maybe that explains why they are feeling this way. Okay. And what I'm going to do, remember we looked at that nice formatting so you can make things appear in tables. Okay, so customer sentiment. We've got concerned and dissatisfied from the two folks at Echo Point Media that we're looking at before. Interesting, frustrated and overwhelmed from Crestview Analytics. So that's a lot around integration versus satisfied and positive from Riverbend Logistics, and pleased and optimistic from Summit Biotech. Yeah, okay, super interesting. So let's say it's like, wow, yeah, I want to conduct that question on most of my calls. You can go here into new, and let's say customer sentiment. Okay, and we'll go ahead and add that to the library. We've created that successfully, and here we go. That this color shows that it's a question you created as opposed to a question coming from Storytell. Okay. Now in terms, let's see, what else might we want to look at? So we could look just at the customer data. So I'm just going to go to that tag itself. So if I only want to talk to that tag, I can X the others out and say compare usage CS and NPS scores in the attached CSV for all of content spheres, customers, and surface any trends. For instance, does lower usage align with show up correlate, there we go, that's the word I'm looking for, with low NPS scores and high CS scores. Surface all trends. And show results in a table. Okay, so whenever we're moving into analytics mode, it does take a little bit longer, usually, because it's spinning up code in the moment to explain what's happening. Okay. Summit Biotech has consistently low scores. Ah, this is exactly what I wanted, right? So a table makes it clear. So interesting hypothetical trend analysis. So sometimes the analytics mode thinks that you haven't actually given it all the data. And we have. So you might want to ask the same question multiple times. So I'm going to ask this again. And I'll just look here. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so we're seeing this again. Okay, so I'm going to stop that answer. I'm going to try one more time, and then we're going to look at the data. So somehow did the scores not actually get uploaded? Only usage data and some rankings. Okay, so it's possible I've uploaded the data, but somehow I didn't label it properly. Ah, rank. Interesting. So for some reason, it's thinking that the data we've given it is not actually CES and NPS. So let's have a look at what is in this customer data itself. So we have all these files here, monthly active users, NPS, CES. And so you can go and look at the source content itself. And yeah, so this is NPS or NPS scores, from 1 to 10. And that is what we have. So I will see with our analytics folks on our team why that might show up that way. However, if you stick with it, we go back to the chat, it should actually give you some kind of answer. So sometimes you just have to play with the language in order to find the right way to interact with the LLM. So let's round this out with some other questions. So we're just gonna not do all customers, but just customer calls. So we're gonna take this out. So just, that's like a fat finger problem. Okay, so just want to talk to customer calls. Here we go. And let's go back to one of the challenges we were talking about before around how do I tell product what to build? So based on these customer calls, list the features customers want product and engineering at Content Sphere to build in order of prioritization. Okay, and I'm going to switch this over into beautiful formatting. Okay, so content customization, user interface customization. So we're starting at a more general point. So don't ever, it's kind of like not accepting no for an answer, from the world when you're ambitious and you're trying to make your way as a writer or something, or when you were looking for your CS role, wasn't like, oh, that didn't work out at that company, I guess just not going to try again. Like, no, you have to keep trying. So, okay, what does that really mean? So we're going to want to go deeper here. So give more detail on, oh, that wasn't what I wanted to copy. So AI content, how could content sphere build this? And what would it mean exactly? This is really, you could think of Storytell as this way of engaging with curiosity all the time. So how do you have continuous curiosity here? Because there's so much to get from your data, right? There's so much to understand, whether it's structured or unstructured, and it's really easy to miss. And so this is like extracting every last drop of juice from the orange. Let's not just have one piece of the orange and walk away. So check this out. I thought maybe I'll get 2 sentences. And it's not just about the quantity, obviously, it's the value of the content, it's the signal. So, okay, that would be about data collection and analysis, model training, customizing tools, content generation, user feedback, giving direct feedback on the AI generated content. Nice, this iterative process, and really doing performance monitoring and analytics. So what really wanted to take you on a deep dive of what's possible in terms of delving ever deeper into your data about your customers. So would love to open it up for questions. Anyone has a challenge you're working with, or also would just love to know if there's any feedback here. So always welcome for Q&A. And I'll just pause for a moment. And I think if there's no questions, just thank you for coming today. And yeah, I'll stop. Oh, right. Actually, want to share just a few more things here. We have a few things coming up, and I'm going to go back to slideshow mode. So Storytell, we are always inviting everyone into the AI conversation. We're all in. It's so different to do that in person, and not just online, not just listening to podcasts, not just reading articles, and also to do this in an interactive way. So I don't know if you're familiar with the whole concept of an unconference, but just think about and what that does to any word. So it's not formalized. What is it that you want to teach, what you want to learn? And then having at the, I'll be on this Friday in the afternoon in San Mateo, California, and then an AI fireside chat. But the unconference, it's really about interactivity. So we host a lot of events, and we all have so much to learn from each other. There's not one, AI brain to learn from, but we're all interacting with it. And then let's see, what else? We would love to get your feedback. So thank you so much for coming. Please help us improve our webinars. How could it be more valuable for you? And I'm also always happy to jump on a call. So you can get in touch with me through this link as well. Okay, thanks so much for coming.